I'm walking around minding my business. Hey, do you have a credit card?
Yeah, I always say this. They literally are preying on university
first year,
students.
100%. They just saw me, look fresh off the boat. Like, this guy gets one.
Yeah. Hi everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Don't Go Broke Trying. I am your host, Reni, and if you don't know me, if this is your first time listening, I am a content creator who makes content about financial literacy, and this whole podcast is about helping you secure the bag and making sure you don't go broke trying to live your best life.
Yeah.
So today, we're going to be talking about debt. And I know debt is a very taboo topic. People will ask me a lot of questions, but when it comes to debt, they're very shy about asking those questions. So I was like, hey, let me find someone who has gotten into a little bit of debt a lot of debt and then has gotten themselves out of it. We want to remove the taboo and the shame all out of it. So today I have Sono on the podcast. Hi, Sono.
What's poppin', Reni? How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
Good. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being open and willing to share with others because, again, this is a very taboo topic. Some people have a lot of shame around debt. So I'm glad that you're willing and able to share with all of us.
For sure.
Yes.
For sure.
And hopefully everyone can learn how to not go broke getting a credit card through this episode.
It's fairly easy. Funny enough.
Yeah.
Fairly
if you know if you're taught properly from the beginning. Yeah. So maybe you want to introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about you.
Sure. So my name's Aloho, but people call me Sono. Since kind of what I've ended up going by over the past couple of years. I'm Nigerian. I was born in the UK. I grew up in Jamaica and moved here to Canada about almost 9 years ago.
Where did Jamaica come into the mix?
Funny story. So my parents used to work for a charity organization back in the UK. And so summers they'd have conferences in Switzerland. So one year my parents went and they met the Governor General of Jamaica at the time, and they just became real good friends, real close.
Casually.
Just slipped that right in there. Yeah. But we grew up calling him Grandpa. Like we were like very, very close.
Oh, okay.
And so he just invited my parents to come live with him in Jamaica, and they were like, sure, bet.
I love it. I love it. So, you could continue with your.
So moved to Canada about 9 years ago, and it's been an interesting ride.
Nice. And what do you do here in Canada?
So, graduated from university again. I graduated from architecture back in 2012, back in Jamaica. And then I graduated with a public health degree in 2017. And then kinesiology back in 2020.
Wow.
Yeah.
A lot of school.
Yeah, man. I'm done. I'm tired.
And now what are you doing?
Now I'm not working with any of those. No, but I work for Enterprise Car Rental as a management trainee. So it's just kind of a program that, like, in as much as I'm working there, but I'm really focusing more on learning the business side of things in terms of just how business as a whole, like marketing and all that stuff, comes into play. So
nice.
It's a nice opportunity that I saw and took it.
Nice. Congrats on that. So as you know, this episode is all about how to not go broke trying to get a credit card trying to build your credit. So I am excited, or I don't know. I'm ready.
I'm interested to see where this goes.
Yeah, for you to share your journey about how you got into debt and then successfully got out of debt as well. Because again, lots of shame, lots of stigma, but I think if people know that other people have been through it and are on the other side, that can be very encouraging for them. So before, I always start off with telling me about your childhood, because I think it's one thing, we can hear about your money journey now, but like, where did it all start? Like tell us about the roots. So if you tell us about your childhood, you already told us where you grew up, but like, how was your relationship with money growing up? Or what was your first memory of money growing up?
So it's interesting because in Jamaica, we weren't by any means rich, but we were pretty comfortable. Like had our house, had cars, like we'd take family vacations like twice a year, every year. To me, that was normal. And then obviously to a lot of other people, like, oh, you fly out all the time? Like, what do you mean? Like, it was normal to me, is what I knew to be normal. But yeah, I wouldn't say we were rich ever. But we were fairly, my parents did well for themselves. Money was not a thing we talked about.
At all?
Yeah, no. I also we didn't get a lot of what we asked for if it wasn't like serious, like, oh, Mom, can I get a Game Boy? No. What do you want a Game Boy for? Focus on school, all right? So, but the things surrounding money, my parents were always very frugal. So, even when we did take family vacations and stuff, we'd always like buy stuff that were on sale or like
Yeah.
at the lower markup price, right? So it's just kind of, we got what we needed and then a few little extra toys here and there, but my parents were never lavish spenders by any means.
So you guys never spoke about money. It wasn't like they taught you about financial literacy.
Not even a little bit.
Yeah.
And to be quite honest though, I don't think, at least because at a stage where I at least should have been learning about money, the financial system in Jamaica is a little different, right? So
yeah.
Or even back in Nigeria, it's very different. Like here in North America and Canada, it's very credit based.
Yes.
Credit scores, this and that. And
Yeah.
Jamaica just doesn't exist, right?
That's true.
So coming here, I think that was the biggest like shock for me, is that everything is borrowed. Like everyone has a house payment, everyone has a car payment.
Yeah.
Whereas where I grew up, it's just like you buy this one time, you buy that one time, right? So I'm like, oh, I bought a house. Did you buy a house, or did the bank buy the house and you're paying? You know, so it's just like a lot of those kind of different things were different for me growing up. But yeah, no, we did not talk about money at all.
I think that loan culture is not it's, as you said, it's not a thing in outside of North America and maybe Europe. It's not really a thing. Yeah, because someone must comment on one of my videos like, "Oh, you didn't even buy the house. Like, you don't own a house. The bank owns a house." And I was like, "Fair enough. I guess, but credit is a big thing here, and it's weird that they don't teach anyone about it.
I'm surprised it's not taught in schools. It should be a thing that, because I mean, yes, we all know Pythagoras' theorem. We all know like the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. We know these things. Applies to. I studied science in school. Never used it a single day in my life, right? But credit, filing taxes, simple things that everyone kind of has to do, is not something that we're taught.
Yeah,
so
it's very weird. So I'm guessing, you weren't taught it before you got your first credit card.
Right.
So when you moved to Canada and the financial system was, how old were you when you moved to Canada?
18.
Okay. Yeah. And you moved here. And the financial system was completely different.
Very different, because it's funny because I remember the first thing that really hit me was $20 for a haircut blew my mind, because I was still converting everything to Jamaican dollars.
Yeah.
What I used to pay for an expensive haircut back then would be the equivalent of like $3. So oh yeah, exactly. Like with your trips, like yes, exactly. So for me, it was like $20 for a haircut. What are you talking about? But that's like a cheap haircut. Like now I pay like more than twice that for a haircut, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's just very different here how things work. I was making a significantly higher amount of money here than I was making back in Jamaica working, but cost of living it's
not equivalent.
Not even close.
Yeah,
not even close.
So when you were able to get access to this credit, take us. So I'm guessing you took advantage and got a credit card.
Oh, of course. So I'm at school. I'm at UOIT on Ontario Tech. That's now what it's called. I hate that name.
Oh, really? I didn't know they switched the name.
Yeah, I went to UOIT, at my first university in Canada, and just had like one of those fairs. So I'm walking around minding my business. Hey, do you have a credit card?
Yeah, I always say this. They literally are preying on university
first year,
students.
100%. They just saw me, looked fresh off the boat. Like, this guy gets one.
Yeah.
So I go and I sign up. They give me a $500 credit card. I was like, ooh, $500? I'm balling. What are you talking about?
They didn't tell you how to use it?
No, they told me nothing. They told me my limit was $500.
Yeah.
And there was no like tips like, oh, be smart. No, nothing. Just like, you'll expect it in the mail in how many days. Okay, cool. So I get the credit cards, got my name on there. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm an adult now. I get my scene points and everything.
Did you tell your parents about it?
No. I just kind of got it.
And another question I'd have, did your parents use credit cards?
Yeah, they did, because they had credit cards back in Jamaica. Okay, but again, the mentality behind it was very different.
Very different.
Right?
Okay.
So, yeah, no, I just got the credit card. Eventually I told them like, oh yeah, I have a credit card, by the way. Oh, that's nice. Good for you. Be smart with it. Yeah. But that was kind of as far as it went.
But what does be smart with it mean, right?
So so that's another thing too, is that what they knew or what they learned about credit cards at the time was very different than what I had heard. So for them, it's like, oh, make sure you pay off your card every month. In my head, I was like, oh no, but I only have to pay the minimum balance.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I only have to pay like $20. Yeah, that's light work. I can do that. Mind you, my paychecks were maybe like $200 at the time.
Yeah.
I was working part-time at.
So your paychecks are $200. Yeah. Your balance, your limit is $500.
Yep, exactly.
The math is not mathing.
It's not mathing. Not even a little bit.
Yeah.
Not even a little bit.
Okay. So tell us what happened. Yeah.
first time having like any real money of my own. Of course, I got a little excited. I worked at American Eagle at the time too, so I got 80% off. So again, in
Oh,
my head, it's I was a stylist, so stylists get 80% off. Well, we got like certain amount at 80% off, and then certain things at 60% off. But for me, it's like, okay, I'm getting it on sale, so I'm not spending too much,
yeah.
right? So in my head, I'm saving 60%, but in reality, I'm just spending 40%.
Yeah.
So it's just like,
I hope you all heard that, because just because something's on sale does not mean you're saving any
I'm
money.
not,
You're not
no.
saving anywhere. You're spending money.
Saving money is not buying anything at all. That's what it is.
Did you hear that? I hope everyone heard that. Okay.
Yeah, not saving money is not spending it. But so for me, I thought, okay, I'm getting jeans for $10. That's light. I can handle that. It's not too bad. And mind you, I did have a shopping problem. I had a severe shopping problem. But also, being the oldest, I also kind of felt like a little bit of responsibility to like help get clothes for my younger siblings and stuff. So of course, I'd buy my brother clothes. I'd buy my sister, my mom, my dad. Again, because Jamaica, it's summer all year round. So then when it started getting into fall, winter, I'd like be buying their like hoodies and
Yeah.
toques and winter jackets and stuff like that. And then just kind of became a habit. Just like I get paid, cool, let's buy some stuff. I'm always coming home with shopping bags. And that added up pretty quickly.
Yeah. So so when you got your first statements, what were you doing? You just saw the minimum balance and you paid only the minimum balance, or what went wrong with the credit card?
What went right is an easier question to ask. I got scene points. There's that.
Yay.
So I could watch movies for free.
Yeah.
But I think the biggest thing for me was at first I would get paid and then I'd pay my paycheck into my credit card and then just spend it right away.
Okay.
Yeah, like the whole thing.
Yeah.
So I get paid and I'm like, okay, cool, let me buy some clothes, let me buy some food at school, all this kind of stuff. Just spending unnecessarily. And then kind of as time went on, that was just my habit of doing things. Like I get paid, put it on the credit card just so I can spend it. I never really use my debit card much. It's just my credit card, just pay for that. When I'm out of money, then I just like, okay, well, I guess we just wait till 2 weeks from now.
Yeah.
Right? But it was a mess.
Did they increase your limit after some time, or was the 500 was like how did the debt start?
Okay, so with that one, so my first credit card was with Scotia. After I had maybe like a couple months of just not spending it wisely, I then got a BMO account, SPC. No, first it was TD. I got a credit card. I was like, hey, you should get it. Same thing at school, by the way. There's, do you have a TD account? Here, get this debit card. Oh, we'll sign you up for a credit card. Blah, 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 blah. This one, though, TD told me that I should try not to spend more than 70% of my balance.
70? Where'd they get that number?
Don't even get me started.
Where'd that number come from?
So like, okay, it's good to not spend more than 70%. That way, it's still better for your credit score. It's this, that. I'm like, okay, cool, whatever, 70%. So now I get $1,000 credit card. I'm like, okay, let me not spend more than $700 at a time. You know? Again, my paycheck, now my paycheck maybe like $300. Maybe $400 if it's busy. But so get that credit card, same story, max it out. Because it's habit based.
Yeah.
So if I'm used to just spending everything I have, to get more money, I'm just gonna spend everything I have.
And I hope you guys are listening to this, because I feel like a lot of people think that because they have little money, they don't need to start saving money, or they don't need to start investing with the little they have. But that's not how it works.
Oh, I wish I had known that.
Because
back then.
Once you get more,
you're just gonna spend more.
You'll do the exact same thing.
It's a habit. It's behavioral.
Okay, so now you have the TD card, you have the Scotia, and by the way, these are banks in Canada. As TD card, Scotia card, and your BMO card.
So I got BMO afterwards. I was at the mall this time when they caught me. And like, oh yeah, you can get an SPC card, and you get your SPC credit card, and you get discounts at this stuff and that stuff. And I also think working at the mall was terrible for me because I already had a terrible shopping problem. So then to keep working in an environment where all there is to do is shop, and then these people just target, like, oh yeah, you're in school, cool, you work here, you have a job, perfect, yeah, we'll get you a credit card right now, we'll send it, da da da. I'm like, okay, sure. So to me, it's just like, okay, you know what? This time I'm going to be responsible with this card, even though the other two, I didn't even know what responsibility was. But in my head, I'm like, okay, you know what? I keep maxing out these cards. Let me be smart with this card. Okay. So then for the first few months, I'd be like, okay, I'm only going to spend this amount, and I'll pay it off every single time. So not just the minimum payments, but then because I'm trying to maintain this one card really well, I'm not even touching those. I'm not even
Ooh.
making minimum payments on those cards,
Ooh. So
right?
the interest.
I hate that word. Interest just kept like tacking on. I'm like, 1 second I look, okay, $500. I have a zero available balance. I'm like, okay, fine. You know what? I'll pay some money towards this soon. And then like 2 months go by. I'm like, okay, oh yeah, let me check how much is on this card because now I'm overspending on this other card. Let me see how much I have here. Negative what? How? How did it get into? I didn't spend this card, but then
Yeah.
I'm like learning about fees and like overdraft and all these different things, and it just kept piling. It just started snowballing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was not fun.
How big did it snowball to?
So it kind of graduated from okay. So me deciding to be responsible with my third credit card, then again behavior didn't change. So I'm like, okay, let me go get a payday loan so I can use that money to pay towards my credit card, and it's just,
I'm okay. For those who don't know, a payday loan is essentially a loan. If you've heard of Money Mart, if you heard of
cash for you, cash money.
yeah, all of these, and they usually put them in low income areas. I've noticed
Downtown
because they're
Oshawa.
predatory, right? And you would go there and they'll give you a loan and they'll say, yeah, you want $1,000? Sure, here it is, but the interest rate's going to be
Ridiculous.
What kind of interest rates were you looking at?
So funny, when I had started borrowing from them, the interest rates were higher than they were now because they had to be regulated by
Oh,
because it was just ridiculous.
Yeah.
So I would borrow like $100 and then I'd have to pay back $121.
damn.
And then of course, if I'm getting paid, I pay back the payday loan. I need to borrow more money because
To
I just
pay.
spent like more than half of my paycheck to pay back a loan, and it
Yeah.
just kept getting worse and worse.
Yeah. So imagine everyone a 20% interest rate
Mm-hmm.
on a loan. Imagine you're taking $1,000
I
out.
did. I took two.
Oh. So how much in total did you take from
And
them?
then every time you miss a payment, in total, oh man, I probably got to, because I kept going back, right? It's a 2 weeks thing. I borrow the money today, I go back in 2 weeks to pay it, and then I go borrow more money to get me through the next 2 weeks. And it literally trapped.
It's a vicious cycle.
From a business standpoint, it's a genius.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Of
But then
course.
from the consumer side, it is the worst thing you can get into.
It seems criminal, honestly.
100%.
Like they prey on certain types of people.
Yep.
You always see it in low income areas, and they are like a saving grace to you. You know?
Because it means, it's just a bailout. I promise I'll be good next
Yeah.
time, right? But if I'm borrowing this money and then I have to pay back more out of the little money that I already have, I have to borrow more from them than I paid to them,
Yeah.
right? So if I borrow $100 and then I pay 120, I pay back that 120. I have to borrow like 140 now so I can have that 120
Yes.
buffer, and it's terrible. It's terrible. So I got to a point where I was maybe at that point maybe like 15K in debt probably. This is maybe like within about 3-4 years of being in Canada. Still working part-time, still in school. I had OSAP. Like it just kept piling on
$15,000.
at that point, yeah. And then just some other life stuff. We'll talk about that later. But some other life stuff kind of got me into a place where I needed to provide more money than I was even able to provide for myself because someone else needed help with money. And they also weren't responsible as well. So it's just like, but the kind of personality that I have, unfortunately, is that, okay, I definitely have a hero complex. Like I've learned that over the years. But
Yeah.
like someone's struggling on, okay, let me inconvenience myself even more to help that person. So I already don't have money, but I see you don't have money. I'm going to try and help you.
You're
Even though I
pouring
don't
from an
have.
empty cup.
Exactly,
right?
100%.
Not even empty, a negative.
Yep, there's a hole at the bottom of the
yeah.
cup, and I'm below the cup. Yeah.
Okay. And were you loaning it to that person, or was it
Oh no. I
a gift?
This was a partner.
Yeah.
So I was just like, oh sure, you need this, sure.
Yeah. And they weren't responsible either.
No.
So yeah, just a vicious cycle.
Terrible.
Okay, so you're 15K in debt, or it got
Well, it got way. I think the worst point was maybe, I think I got to maybe like 23-ish, 23 and change. Was kind of like, and this is not including student loans or like phones or anything like that. This is just based off of credit cards and payday loans. That's it.
And did you tell anyone during this time?
Nah.
Nobody.
Firstborn. I'm the firstborn son in a Nigerian home. I'm not telling nobody. Yeah.
How did like wasn't that heavy on you? Like how did you
Of course.
even
Oh yeah.
manage that?
I didn't.
Okay.
I didn't. Kind of slipped into a depression as well too, because the pressure from partner saying, "Oh, yo, what kind of man? And you can't even provide for this and that." And I'm struggling. I'm already struggling, but trying to help provide for this partner, and then also trying to help support my family at the time. Because again, in Jamaica, my parents were comfortable. Now we come here, and everyone's starting from the bottom. Like my dad's working for Walmart overnights. My mom wasn't even in the country because she couldn't leave her job as a professor in Jamaica to come here and do nothing, right?
Yeah.
So, but then even that paycheck didn't translate to much over here.
course.
So, like, of course, I'm like taking on this extra responsibility of helping to provide for my family, helping to provide for a significant other, helping to fend for myself as well. So it was terrible.
So you're carrying all of that.
Yeah.
And when did you decide that, okay, I need to get rid of this debt? And like how I'm sure, like I know a lot of people listening are probably in this situation right now. So like how did you get out of it? Because $23,000, and that's not including any other of the loans. That's just your consumer debt.
And I wasn't even making up to that much a year.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like I think my annual income at the time, I peaked at maybe like just over 20K annual, and that's gross. Yeah. That's gross income. Yeah.
Yeah. Because you're still in school.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I was working part-time. At one point I had 3 jobs while still in the school.
With the goal to pay off the debt? Or
no, I wasn't even thinking debt. I just wanted money to stay afloat.
Okay, yeah.
Like I just wanted to be able to like have money to like buy food, pay like whatever bills I had at the time. Not my credit card, obviously, but like my phone bill at the very least.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was rough. It was rough.
Yeah. So, but tell us the steps. Like was it once you graduated and got a job that you decided that, okay, now I can pay it off? Or how, like...
So here's the thing. I've been in school like nonstop through to 2020 when I graduated.
Yeah.
So there was no full-time work period for me at all. But because I had gotten to a point where I just kind of established that that's just what my life was at the time.
What was the turning point that allowed you to get out of this debt?
It's gonna sound really cheesy. My current fiance.
Aww.
She. It's gonna sound. I hate how it sounds, but yeah. The truth is, kind of when she came into my life, I felt this, and it was no pressure from her whatsoever, right? But I just felt this really strong desire to kind of get it together, get my like finances, my life together, because I mean, like I knew pretty early on I was gonna marry her, so.
Aww, I love it.
So for me, it's like, okay, you know what? I'm trying to get married. I can't get married if I have all this baggage, right? So I was just very like aggressively focused on like, okay, you know what? I got to clear all this debt out.
Yeah.
So and even now looking back at it, it still doesn't make sense because mathematically it shouldn't make sense. But within like 4 or 5 months, I was able to clear like 15K of that debt.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, this was in like early to mid 2020.
Were you working full time at that time?
No.
So how does
you see what I mean by it doesn't make sense?
Yeah.
No, but at the time I was doing DoorDash.
Okay.
I was doing Instacart. So I was just picking up all these side jobs until I got a job, right? But yeah, like I said, the math is not mathing even now. Like looking back, it doesn't make sense. But I was able to just like be responsible. I was not buying anything at all. Like I moved back home that's another thing, like rent. When I was living on my own, well, me and my brother moved out. We were living in school and then having all this debt.
Yeah. At
one point I lost my job too. So then that's kind of when I started letting my family know what was going on with me financially. Right?
What was their reaction like?
It was more like, why didn't you let us know earlier? My brother said something that was really profound that stuck with me to this day. It's just like, when you keep all these things to yourself, you rob us of the opportunity to go through it with you. I was like, geez, I'd never thought of that. Here I am thinking I'm shielding them from all this kind of stuff. Like I don't want
They're like, we don't need you to shield us.
Right? I mean, we're all 3 years apart, but so to me, it's like, oh, y'all are kids, you won't understand. But
yeah.
Of course, I mean, now we're homies, we're tight now, right? But for me, it's just like I was embarrassed because in my head, as a firstborn, I'm supposed to have everything together. I'm supposed to be the example, this, that, and the third. So I'm not going to let him know, yo, I'm struggling. I don't have it all together. But one thing you learn growing up is that no one does. Like,
Nobody.
not a single person has it all together. Even our parents, we look at them like, yeah, they might have some things figured out, but there's a lot of stuff they're still figuring out as they go. So, yeah, when he told me that, like, okay, yo, you're robbing us of the opportunity to go through this with you and grow with you. So I'm like, okay, you know what, fine, whatever. So I kind of came clean about the whole thing. I let him know everything, let him know how much debt I was in, the whole deal. And so then they kind of all got on board, especially my mom. My mom's like, yo, we're not doing this ever again. So let's like get you out of the situation as soon as possible.
I love it.
So mom starts like helping me like pay rent and everything. But then she's not now she understands that I have a bad habit of spending.
Yeah.
So now she's keeping a log of every single dollar she gives me because I'm supposed to pay it back at some point.
Oh, okay. Right? It wasn't a gift.
It wasn't a gift. No. It's like, I'm not rewarding your bad behavior. You're gonna pay me back all this.
That's good.
Over time, but at least like let me help bail you out in this moment. And whatever financial obligations you might need will help you through this period. So yeah. Paying off that debt in the first couple months of my new relationship was priority for me because I needed to also prove to myself that I'm ready to get married, because I'm just gonna get into a whole different thing, but like just as a man,
yeah,
I really felt a lot of self-imposed pressure to make sure that I'm able to provide for my future family when the time does come for all that. So I'm like, if I'm struggling right now on my own, adding people to that equation is not going to help.
Yeah.
So I have to make sure to get out of this first before I can dive into that.
Question: did you tell her, your fiance, when you?
Yeah.
Okay, so you told her like.
I told her everything. So here's the thing. I was at we're gonna digress a little bit.
Okay.
So when she kind of came into the picture, I was at a phase in my life where I was like, yo, I'm done with this relationship, like one woman. I don't need none of that. Let me focus on me, focus on myself, the whole deal.
Yeah, okay.
And, exactly. And then she kind of just strolls in minding her business. I'm like, okay, yep, I'm going to marry that girl. Like, literally like that. So, so for me, it was like all cards on the table before we got into a relationship. I'm like, okay, you know what? I like you. I'm going to marry you someday. And she's like, who are you even?
Literally, who are you?
But then I kind of like laid out all my baggage. Mind you, it's not like first time, of course, but like we're talking for like a few weeks, maybe like 3-4 weeks. But I knew I was going to be serious. I'm like, okay, you know, before we get into this relationship, I need you to know all the bad stuff so that you can know what you're getting into before we actually do get into it and then break up or whatever. So I'm like, okay, this is what's going on. This is where my finances at. These are the skeletons in my closet. Can you accept all this? Cool. She said, okay, cool, no worries, we'll work on it together. I was like, all right, bet. The rest is gravy. So she knew about all of my financial stuff. And she, like, her credit was immense. Like, she...
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, she had the only debt she had was school debt. Right? And, yeah, she didn't even have, like, a balance owing on her credit card. Nothing. I was like, damn, I wish. And at the point, my credit score was, like, in the 400s. I didn't even know it could go that low later on.
I didn't know either.
Of course, exactly. But yeah, I was in the 4s, and yeah, but within those like couple months period, I was able to like bump up like a couple 100 points. So I'm grateful for that.
So did you still have those payday loans while you were?
I had cleared those up.
Okay.
And so that first 15K chunk was payday loans and credit cards. Okay. Well, majority of the payday loans, and then like most of the credit cards.
Okay. So someone's listening right now and they're struggling with debt. How, like, how do they tackle it? Like, they see $20,000 balance.
The first thing I did was write down everything.
Okay.
Well, on my phone. I'm not. Come on now. I'm a millennial. So, no, but I actually got an app on my phone called Fudge It. And that's a plug, and I shouldn't be plugging no one for free, but yeah.
This is not an ad. But if you want to sponsor the podcast, Fudge It, let's
talk about it. Yeah. So, but basically what it is literally just like a spreadsheet. So I like laid out, like I had to call all the different payday lenders and like call the credit card companies just to get an exact, down to the penny, how much I owed. So then I had all the numbers listed down. I'm like, okay, cool. Let's start paying. So I started calling, okay, yo, what's the best way you can get this settled? Okay, let's pay this off first. 2 weeks time and I get paid, I'll call this other person. Okay, yo, how can I get this sorted out? Then I started setting up like payment arrangements. And again, I had like newfound motivation to actually do it right this time.
Yeah.
So I wasn't
Shout
slacking
out
at
your
all.
fiance.
Yeah, shout out to her for sure, man. Nah, for real. But yeah, so what I would say the way I did it anyway. I can't give advice because everyone's story is different.
Yeah, of
But the
course.
way I did it and what worked for me was I wrote everything down and then I set a timeline for everything. So now, okay, I have this 2,500 to pay off. I want to pay it off in this amount of time, and I'm not going to worry about anything else. I'm just going to do that first. Then I'm going to do that, and so just breaking it up into chunks is what made it a lot easier for me because I'm very very visual, very methodological. Is that the word I'm looking for? Yeah.
Perfect.
So I break everything down, and I kind of just like go phase 1, cool. Phase 2, cool. Phase 3, cool.
Nice.
So yeah, breaking it up makes it a lot easier because when you just see this big chunk of like,
I was
well,
gonna
where am I going to start? But then when you break it up, it's like, okay, I guess it's not as bad.
Yeah, and then I guess as you pay off each one, it's like a small win
Oh,
that will
100%.
motivate
It's so
you for the
motivating.
next
I
one.
loved nothing more than just checking off that I had paid
Yeah.
this one. Okay, good. I only owe 5 people now. That I only owe 4 people now. Yeah, it's very satisfying.
Did you use like, I know there's like the snowball method, there's the avalanche method. Any of those?
I would call it more like, I didn't know about this at the time, but yeah, I would call it more of a snowball method because I didn't focus on, I only focused on one thing.
Okay.
And then, so I do this one thing. I wouldn't even touch the rest of them because spreading it out was not helping me. Right?
Yeah.
So I just threw everything I had into the one thing. And again, I moved back home, so my expenses were like minimal, thankfully. So I'd pay my phone bill, pay my credit card bill, everything I had left,
On your
right
debt.
into the debt.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just kind of did that steadily coming down, and worked.
Wow. Okay, and I know that you have. I guess you are a spender by nature.
Oh yeah.
So
Oh, yeah.
how are you making sure that you? Actually, wait. One before that, after you finish like paying off a debt, would you cut up the credit card or like how? What was your logic with that?
Oh, okay. So my credit got so bad at one point that after the first, because credit cards like every 5 years. So
Oh, yeah.
my first credit card, my Scotiabank credit card, they didn't renew it.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
That's how you know it's bad.
Exactly, they
Yeah.
didn't renew it. So I'm just like, okay, I'm supposed to be getting a new card in the mail. What's going on? I called them like, oh yeah, we're not going to be renewing your card. Cool.
Oh.
Thanks.
But the balance is still there.
Yeah, balance was paid off.
Oh, okay.
Right. So that's the thing. I had kind of like gotten to a place where I was like, okay, Scotia was the last card I had paid off. So but that was the card I still had access to because my BMO credit card I cut up, my TD credit card I cut up.
Okay.
Still had balances owing on them, but I cut them up like, yo, I'm done with this. I'm not going to be doing this. Scotia will be my main one. I'll just like keep using that. So I'd pay it off like halfway, 80%. I'd pay them off and just kind of like just use that for my day-to-day spending. But because I had 4.5 years of bad history with them, even those last few months of me getting better with it, they're like, yeah, we're not going to renew this for you. So I didn't have to cut them up.
Yeah. They did it for you.
They did it for me, exactly.
And
BMO canceled me off within like not even maybe 6 months. They like just like canceled my credit card for me.
I'm surprised they even cancel credit cards because I'm like, usually they're greedy, you know, and they want you to keep spending on it. But it must have been really,
I was
really
terrible.
Yeah. Okay. And then I guess my other question was, so now that you have paid off all of this debt, how do you make sure that you don't slip back into those habits? Because again, you like to spend money, you like to shop, you like to, you know, how do we make sure that we do not get back into it?
2 things for me was one, figuring out why I wasn't going to do that anymore. Because I got, like, when you hit rock bottom, you don't want to go back there, right? So I had this saying in my phone I wrote like years ago, like when you hit rock bottom, stay there for a little bit so that you know you grow to hate the feeling more than anything else, that you'll never get back there again. So for me, it's like I've been there, never going back. Never going back. So for me, it's just motivation of wanting to be able to provide for my future family, for I'm just not wanting to be in that headspace anymore. But yeah, it's just attitude change. It became a new habit now. So I've gotten used to just like, okay, breaking everything down. This is what I have. And then that's kind of where budgeting came into play as well. But yeah, now it's been...
I know some people who have had some situations like this where they've gone into a lot of debt and paid it off. They no longer use credit cards because they don't trust themselves. Is that something that you faced or
No, I
anything?
got credit cards. I'm
Okay.
good with it now. But I also understand the importance of
Yeah.
it because we live in a credit culture.
Yeah.
I'm trying to buy a house soon time.
Exactly.
Like I need to have a credit history. That's another thing, man. The whole credit card, I didn't learn a lot of the things. So like me canceling my credit cards thinking, okay, you know what?
Yeah.
I'll cancel that. I'll pay it off. I'm like, oh no, it's learning afterwards. Like, no, that's terrible for your credit age.
Nobody teaches us this.
Right?
Yeah.
So
except me. If you want to follow me on Instagram, I teach people.
Reni's got you.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely going through this experience has definitely equipped me in such a way to help. Like when time comes for my kids, like they're like hitting the ground running.
Yes. Yeah. They're gonna have perfect credit scores.
Oh, mint. A lot of our friends do this whole thing, like no baby gifts anymore. Put money into their RESP.
Yes.
Like that's 100%.
Yes, I love it.
The day I find out that we're pregnant, just drop all the money into
RESP. No gifts. No gifts. Just money.
We can handle that.
Yeah. Well, I thank you for sharing your story and for teaching everyone. I want to ask, because this is Don't Go Broke Trying, what is one piece of advice that you'd give listeners so they don't go broke trying to get a credit card or build their credit?
Talk to someone first.
Yes.
Talk to someone who's in a position that you want to be in. Because don't just talk to anyone.
Remember, not just anyone, okay?
No. Talk to Reni. But like when there's someone in a position that you want to be in, talk to them first, see what they did, what advice they have. Because if there's like the Dave Ramseys of life that never use a credit card ever.
Yeah.
Right?
That
like,
man is
that was based on his experience and him not having a good history with credit cards. Whereas there's other people who like thrive off of like someone like you that likes to travel. I'm sure you get like travel points or whatever with yours. I'm assuming. I don't know. But yeah, so it's just like find what works for you from the people that have done it or are currently doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be my advice for sure.
That is great advice.
I went into it blind. I didn't have nothing.
Yeah, and I feel like schools also need to start teaching it to us.
I feel like that is that'll change generations.
Yeah.
If it's a thing that's even at the very least mentioned in schools, it doesn't have to be a full class, but even like one specific like day for the whole school year.
Yeah.
Just talk about it.
Literally,
in the class.
Just open people's mind to the fact that there's a right way and there's a wrong way to use credit cards because nobody teaches you. No. And they're so predatory. I always say like
I also think that's why. Because they're making money off of people like me who made bad decisions, they're not going to want people to learn how to be responsible.
Yeah. I have this conspiracy theory about it. How like they're trying to keep us in the cycle of debt for the rest of our lives. So we'll always rely, but let me not go into this conspiracy theory.
You know what's messy too? Like even after I'd paid off all my payday loans, they would still send me mail. I'm like, hey, we have an offer for you, this and that. Like come get this and we'll lower you. Like it's predatory.
It is.
Like even to this day, I still get like mail from them. It's been years, but I still get mail from them.
Nonsense. Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast and teaching everyone how not to go broke trying.
Thanks for having me, man. This was fun.
Can you please plug yourself if you want people to find you? Tell us where we can find you.
Social media, I exist as Sono Africano. That's SONO, African O.
Okay, perfect.
Literally just means I'm Italian. Means I'm African in Italian.
Yeah. Why Italian?
Huh?
Why Italian?
I went through a weird phase.
Okay.
I watched Cars 3 one time and I was like, oh, let me learn Italian. And so I did. Okay. I didn't learn Italian, but I learned like a few things and that was just one of the things that I learned.
Okay.
I'm not sure why.
Interesting.
Let's not talk about it.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you. Everyone, make sure you like this video if you're watching on YouTube. Make sure you leave a review as well. 5-star review. We don't want any 4 stars, okay?
No,
just 5-star reviews on Spotify, or if you're listening on Apple Podcasts.
Or YouTube.
I don't think you can give stars, but you can
like.
Yeah, like the video. Thank you so much for listening or watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace. Bye.